Welcome to Ultimate Survival Gear. Today, as you guys can see, I have for the first time in a long time something from Timberland. Yes, let's open up the box and see what we got. And this is their brand new, yes, fresh, very fresh boots called Euro Trucker. Hiking boot, yes, these are advertised as hiking boot, and I have to tell you guys, whenever I first got them and took them out of the box, I was not too impressed. They look kind of floppy, alright? But after doing my testing and all that sort of stuff, I have to say that these are actually pretty good. They're comfortable, they are lightweight, the outsole is very good. There are some decent features, so excited to do this review. Let's get into it. As some of you already know, this is not just any kind of regular review. Alright, this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boots section. Yes, so basically this wasn't just your hiking boot, but something bad happened. Maybe you were already wearing these boots, or maybe they were just sitting in your house and something bad happened, you put them on, you had to leave your house, and now you had to survive. Would these boots be good for your survival? Running, walking for extended periods of time, swimming, climbing, fighting, whatever. Think about your own survival situation, right? Use your imagination. Would this be good? How do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's begin. Criteria number 1, of course, comfort level. And in order to test the comfort level of all the boots and shoes that I review on this channel, I do a 3-mile run, non-stop, and then a 5-mile walk, again non-stop, no pauses in between, and then I continue wearing shoes or boots for the rest of the day, so that the total wear time is about 8 hours. Okay, like I said, the comfort level of these is actually pretty good, and there are a few factors that contribute to it. Let's start with the first one, weight. Okay, here's my scale. This is size 10, and the weight of size 10 is 15.3. Alright, so that's a great weight. Now, to give you kind of reference numbers, 20 ounce. If you're buying boots, look at something around 20 ounce. Obviously, the more it is under 20 ounce, the lighter it's going to be. And then over 20 ounce, you get into that heavyweight category. 15, excellent weight. So Timberland definitely did a great job at saving on the weight. All right, the next thing is the flexibility of the outsole. And here, as you can see, I think this is a really good balance between stiffness and flexibility. It's not too stiff, and at the same time, it's not too floppy. So this is actually a very good outsole overall. Pretty good. You can run properly in this boot if you have to, but walking in these on something like a rocky road, you still are good because it's not too soft, so you don't really have anything. You don't feel anything going through it. Alright, so pretty good balance of the outsole, but we'll talk about the outsole later. Let's move on to the inner sole. And I'm going to take it out so that you can see what's going on here. Alright, now the inner sole is probably one of the only things that I have to say I'm not too impressed with it. As you can see, there is no heel bed. There is really no arch support. Overall, it's fairly flimsy. Now, there is some cushioning, but it's not the pleasant kind of jelly cushioning. It's more of a foamy, spongy kind of cushioning. So if you're buying this boot, you probably would want to replace and upgrade this inner sole to something better because it can dramatically improve the comfort level. And honestly, Timberland, for $120, you couldn't freaking make a better inner sole? Seriously? Alright. We'll talk about the price later, but let's get that out of the way. Inner sole is a disappointment. But we got the padding here on the tongue, pretty good. We got the padding in the shaft, pretty decent. And throughout the boot, it feels actually very nice and comfortable. Overall, pretty good whenever it comes to overall comfort inside of the boot itself. Once you remove the inner sole, it goes straight into the midsole. There's really not much going on in between. So better inner sole would have been way better for the comfort level. That's really the only complaint that I have about this boot. But let's move on to the criteria number 2 now. It's proofing and protection. Now, these boots are not advertised as waterproof. I would say it would be good to have these as waterproof, but at the same time, really not much of the gusseting of the tongue. It's the gusseting. I mean, there is a little bit of gusseting, but it sits very, very low, so there wouldn't be much point of doing this as waterproof anyway. Wouldn't really make much difference. But for hiking, for a mid-size, usually I prefer to have waterproof. And honestly, for the price, again, Timberland could have done a better job and made this waterproof. Protection wise, there isn't much of protection here at the tongue. It's very at the front of the toe box. It's very soft. Not much padding here in the shaft. Very soft. Not much protection here at the heel, but you do have very decent amount of protection from the outsole, which we'll talk about later. So overall, on the proofing and protection, I think Timberland could have done a way better job, especially for the price. Let's move on to the criteria number 3, quality and the design feature. Now, quality-wise, Timberland brand, I mean, they have been around forever. Everybody knows Timberland. And they are pretty good. I mean, sometimes they're hit and miss, but for the most part, they are pretty good whenever it comes to the quality. Now, this is a brand new boot on the market. Amazon link is in the description below, so there's not any reviews just yet, but keep checking on the link. Maybe something will come up and people will start talking. I mean, it will eventually. The reviews will eventually start coming up on this boot. Now, the design features, usually I talk about here the lacing system. Here the lacing system is very straightforward. As you can see, 5 closed hooks, and you actually have an extra ring on top. No open hooks. Would be nice for hiking boot, but that's fine. Not a big deal. Let's move on to the criteria number 4, outsole traction and stability. Now, whenever I do my run and my walk, I do it on a variety of different surfaces. I start with older asphalt, going to the newer tarmac, dry sand, dry grass, wet grass, rocky road, trail surface, marble, tile, concrete, rubber, and then a rock wall. And this is great outsole. It's very, very good. Good quality rubber, very hard rubber, good design, good balance between aggression and flatness, so it performs well on everything I've just listed. And even for rock wall, it wasn't that bad because, as you can see, the front of the toe box is very, very low profile, which is great because you can sneak in your toe into thinner cracks in whatever you're climbing and kind of get a grip. And there's a little bit of kind of these grooves here that kind of help with kind of a suction, and these do surprisingly perform very well on flat and shiny surfaces. So that's really one of the only things that I would say, okay, this is a good outsole. This is Timberland. They did a really good job with this. That and probably the design. All right, speaking of the design and overall looks, I want to mention that here too really quickly, is that I do like the fact that these are very inconspicuous, so you can wear them pretty much anywhere you want and not worry about looking kind of weird in weird situations. These should look like a nice kind of shoes, kind of like a hippie, whatever, indie looking type of shoes. So design wise, pretty good. Let's move on to the criteria number 5 really quick, temperature. Now, I'm not even gonna mention cold temperatures because these are not winter friendly at all. They're not insulated, they're not waterproof, so pointless to talk about that. But for other 3 seasons, it's gonna be pretty good. Just don't get in the rain in these boots because your feet most likely gonna get wet in the rain because there is no waterproofing and there is really no gusseting, no clearance in order to even have a water resistant boot. Let's move on to the criteria number 6 really quick, the sizing. These are true to the size. Do you have to get a half a size bigger? Yeah, that would be nice, but the toe box is very soft, so it's really not that important, not a big deal. Let's move on to the criteria number 7 now, the balance of application. So if this really was your ultimate survival boot, right, would this be good? Okay, because they look very inconspicuous, because they're very lightweight, they're comfortable overall, I think this is a pretty decent option, okay? If you want to wear this as your everyday boot, that is a pretty good option because after all, the comfort is pretty good. You can cover long distances and be fairly comfortable. Upgrade the inner sole just to maximize the comfort out of it. The biggest downside with this boot is that there is really no protection and they're not waterproof. That's really the only thing. But the outsole is great. Outsole is fantastic. Timberland did a really good job with the outsole, so I am definitely overall for hiking, for light hiking, this is gonna be really good. But let's get into the very last criterion here. Criteria number 8, the price. Okay, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. $120. $120. That is a little bit overkill for what you're getting in this boot. They're not waterproof. This is terrible inner sole. There's really not any kind of features to it. Yes, outsole is great, but for $120, I mean, there is some serious competition in that price range. I mean, you have fantastic stuff from Salomon, you have great stuff from La Sportiva, you have unbelievable, amazing stuff from Jack Wolfskin, probably cheaper than this. And that stuff is designed to be a serious hiking boot. They're waterproof, they have protection, they have maybe even better outsoles. So for $120, I don't know, that's a little bit tough. Unless you're a huge fan of Timberland brand and you're a huge fan of the design and you just want it, then maybe you can justify yourself spending $120 on something like this instead of something that is actually good for hiking. So it's really up to you. It's your personal preference. Personally, I would go with something else. Still a good boot, don't get me wrong, just in my opinion way too overpriced for everything that it provides. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think about this boot? What do you think about this review? Would you consider this boot as your ultimate survival boot? Would you consider it as your hiking boot? If you found this review useful, please consider subscribing. That would be very, very helpful. If you want to support this channel even more, please consider joining the membership. It's only 99 cents a month, but this money definitely helped me to bring more quality reviews to this channel. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Ultimate Survival Gear. I'll see you guys in the next video.